episode where I talk about things. So, this episode is about AI marketing in 2025. And specifically, talking about how AI is impacting marketing and what professional marketers are doing with AI in 2025. So, obviously, the last few years have been quite the innovative and pioneering time for large language model users, figuring out ways to use Gen AI or generative artificial intelligence to create marketing materials, to create funnels, to create all kinds of different aspects of marketing, including, whether you're marketing cloud services, traditional online services, traditional brick and mortar services, products, doesn't matter what. Gen AI has been increasingly used, and things like chatbots, image generation, video generation, text generation have all been used at a rapidly increasing frequency to basically reduce the workload, right, or get things done quicker, in theory, more effectively. Not necessarily, though, because there are obviously problems with AI. So it does not necessarily save you a lot of time if you have to QA every single thing with a fine-tooth comb. There are often cases where it's just easier to do something by hand still, if you know what you're doing and you're good at it. And there are obviously still things that it does just not very well, right? Even the very best of the tools and the very best keyword prompt engineers find that there are shortcomings with AI. Nevertheless, it has been remarkable how quickly people have developed some very effective tools and products and services. No doubt you've seen, if you're a marketer, you've seen various ads on Google and on Facebook and on YouTube promoting services like creating entire ad campaigns with a click of a few mouse buttons, and the AI tools will build all the creatives for you, write all the creatives for you. They'll choose color templates, they'll choose imagery, they'll even work on suggesting ways to make video ads. There's no shortage of how you can use Gen AI tools to effectively reduce your workload if you use the tools correctly. But in many cases, they fall short of doing the work by hand. Yes, it can be useful if you have to do the work for an increasing number of clients, and for some reason your agency is not able to hire more people to do the work. So it can at least reduce getting from stage 0 to stage 1, 2, or 3 of building campaigns for different clients, or for your employer if you work at a company. But still, there's inevitably going to be a human component of the process where you need to do QA and edits and revisions before you actually can greenlight the work that's created by the Gen AI tools. And you could say, well, the Gen AI tools are certainly good enough for beginners to start. If you have like a home-based business and you're a freelancer, or you're just like starting out, they're good enough to try out. Well, they may be good enough to try out, but you'll see that your success rate may not be as good as if you're actually a serious professional working for a real company that has a decent sized budget to actually have you do the real work to create the creatives properly, to do the proper testing necessary, and take the time to do it. Now, of course, there are times when there are crazy deadlines, and before Gen AI tools, you simply would have either missed the deadlines or you'd have to stay up all night and all day and all night again to meet those deadlines. But now with Gen AI tools, you can, at the very least, if somebody gives you a crazy deadline, yes, now there are tools where you can at least get something out the door as a kind of an MVP idea for the campaign. But it will certainly require a lot of ABC testing if you have enough data that will give it to you. Of course, for that, you'll need to have enough traffic. And if that means paying for ads, then you need to have a significant enough budget. If it doesn't mean paying for ads because you happen to have a lot of organic traffic that will somehow see it, or referral traffic, or somehow otherwise get in people's faces, then great, good for you. It can be very productive. Another aspect of what marketers are doing with Gen AI in 2025. What's this say? Live A. Can I join the call? Nice to see you too. I don't know what you mean by join the call, but you're certainly here, engaged in the chat. Do you mean like, can you be actively involved in the discussion? I would love it. But you can participate actively as you are in the text chat here. So if you have any questions or comments, by all means, post them in the live chat. Hopefully, I'll see what you're writing. Another thing that's of significance, relevant to marketers in 2025, vis-a-vis Gen AI tools and LLMs, or large language models, right, is the fact that there are a lot of people in marketing who are being replaced because of Gen AI. And I know it sounds crazy, right? But there are a lot of companies who are looking at their bottom lines and who are simply not hiring additional staff, not because they don't have the funding, although some companies don't, but because they think that Gen AI can do as good or better of a job as the humans. Well, they probably can't, because even though Gen AI can work 24/7, if you don't have a human monitoring it, managing it, it's not going to help you, right? And if that person is sitting there all day just monitoring Gen AI results, somebody has to edit them on top of that, revise them, etc., get them out the door. So there is not necessarily a proven cost-saving basis yet, right? And if you look at cost analysis for marketing in the last year, marketing costs have not gone down significantly just because of LLMs. Okay, if anything, all it has done is increase the workload on marketing professionals, and all that does is wear them out more quicker, because now they're suddenly being overwhelmed by requests to do a million more things in a faster amount of time, while maintaining the same quality standards as before, which is not really possible if you suddenly have to do 10 times more stuff, and you have to, on top of that, then QA and revise and edit and make millions of changes to the material that the Gen AI creates. So companies think that by reducing staff size and cutting payroll, they're going to increase shareholder value. But the fact is, it's not always the case. And just because you have automation tools does not mean you should get rid of your human beings on staff. Unfortunately, there are too many companies that think that it does mean that. Right? They look at car factories. Well, we replace humans in the car factories with robots. That's true. That's true. But those people were doing very robotic work. And marketing work is a lot more creative than that. Even if you don't think of yourself as a creative, when you're creating messaging, right, you are creating. So So you have to be creative to some degree. Even if your marketing is very dry and dull and boring, you still have to create it. And you still have to give thought to how to make your messaging stand out from the crowd. Or if your purpose is to not stand out from the crowd, you have to give thought in how to not stand out. Now, it would be weird if your job was to do that, to be a marketer whose job is to not stand out. What is the point? Anybody can do that. But, there are some companies who have to do a certain amount of marketing, whether they like it or not, but they don't want to stand out from the crowd for various reasons. A lot of government contractors, for example, there might be private companies doing government contract work or subcontract work, and they might be required to do some kind of marketing for some reason, but they're not required to hit benchmarks. They're just required to do certain things. I know it sounds unusual, but there are companies like that in many places around the world who, for whatever reasons, their corporate interests are to do the absolute minimum as required. So that's one thing, right? Humans being replaced by Gen AI tools. Another thing that's happening is that marketers are developing more tools for themselves, for their companies, for their agencies, for their clients to be more effective with Gen AI. And we're already seeing kind of like the next versions of it that are evolved from ChatGPT and Gemini. We're already seeing different versions that are much more niche focused solely on marketing and sales. And they really are trying to develop better tools for marketing. Monkey Tune, Monkey Tron, bro, I see you, man. Been a while. Like I said, yes, you can participate. Hold on one second, I need a minute here. It's always something to be standing in line, waiting for time to pass. Anyway, so we're seeing marketers develop tools using next generation AI and LLMs that are specific to marketing and sales. Does that mean they will be successful? Hello. It's okay. Hello. A very cute dog is approaching me. Hello. Hello, adorable creature. Hello. Yes. Yes. You smell my dog. I know you smell my dog. I know. Yes. Yaşlı Keller. Ha? Yeah. Yaşlı kızı, anak kızı. San Bernard kızı. Gadol. Yeah. But that's fine. So what exactly are they doing? Well, they're developing tools, for example, to better forecast quantitative analytics, right? Things that are actually better than, for example, Google or Yandex or Bing or Yahoo analytics tools. Because as good as those tools are, they are increasingly falling short since they are focused on web traffic that comes through search engines and through other media platforms that don't include private walled off gardens like social media apps, right? Well, somebody has to write a loud engine. So social media apps are increasingly how people use the internet, right, and get to places without typing links, without searching, right? And increasingly, they're also using ChatGPT and Gemini and other tools, LLMs, to search the web, right? And you can, in ChatGPT, you can now actively search the current web. They released that in late 2024, and Gemini obviously has had that since its rollout because it's Google. So they have obviously an index of the current, search engine that they run. So people are using LLMs to search. Right? Is that killing off all organic search? No, but has it made a significant impact? Yes. And is it going to continue to make a now? Look, when I say significant impact, I mean it's still relatively small. But as with all things, right? If it's like 1% now, it's more than 1% already. But if it was 1% a year or two ago, now it's like 3%. Next, later this year, it might be 5%. Who knows? Maybe the year after that, it'll be 7% to 10%. Pretty soon, it'll be more than half. And give it 5 years, it'll be more than half, right? Of all searches are done on large language models and similar tools. Why? Because it's convenient, right? So, how will searchers continue to use the web? Well, they will continue to use the web as long as it continues to give them good results that they want and to be convenient. In the meantime, it is a good idea to build up a presence in services like ChatGPT and Gemini, which you can do by increasing the presence of your web assets and whatever other assets you have online in those engines. How do you do that? Well, you have to train the models to look at your content. So train the models to search your websites, train the models to search information about your company, your products or services, whatever it is, right? The people in your company that it should know about. Train the models to be increasingly aware of your presence online if you want to come up in LLM searches, which again I highly recommend if you're a marketer, because that is increasingly where people are searching for things online. If you are running a marketplace, right, you need to have already, if you don't have, I mean, it would be shocking if you don't yet have it, or at least in the works, your devs, if they haven't already done it, should have implemented next gen or Gen AI search capabilities and LLM capabilities into your marketplace, because people expect it, right? They expect the sites that they use to make it increasingly convenient and easy for them to find what they want and to even predict what they want, right? You probably remember, if you've been following me for any number of years, as far back as more than 10, 12 years ago, probably at least back in 2012, and definitely through 2014 and 2016 and all that, I was pushing very hard to get the different companies I was working with to build predictive analytics models using the existing tools at the time from IBM and other places, and to custom build their own around, right? Predictive analytics, building psychographic profiles to know the user intent before the actual user does. And this worked very well. And next gen AI LLM models basically pushed that envelope to the next level, right? That's all they did. But those tools of being able to predict what people wanted was something we called psychographics, right? Forecast psychographics or predictive psychographics and predictive intent, right? We looked at all those models and more to understand what users wanted as they were going through funnels, again, before they even knew what they wanted. We could look at their past history of searches, we could look at their past history of engagement, we could look at their past purchases, their past returns, their past renewed or return purchases, or multiple purchases, and from that we could determine very, very accurately the probability of what people wanted to buy, right, before they even knew. So we would put up ads offering them things that we had a high probability of being able to predict that they wanted to buy those things
whether they were on sale or not. We knew that they wanted those things. They were looking for them, even if they didn't realize what they were called, or they didn't realize that they were available. And we made sure that we put it in front of them, and the success rate was, overnight. You can see the difference, right? You flip the switch, and boom, you have increased sales, increased revenues, increased profit margins, right? And increased lifetime value and increased return sales. It also led to increased first-time buys, because even people that were new to the site, as soon as they enter the site, from the very first thing they click on or look at or engage with or search for, we already have information that we're gathering about them. And with every single search or click or engagement of any type or purchase, we would know, exponentially more about them. So the more time they would spend on the site or in the app, the better we had of an ability to predict for them very, very rapidly, like within 7 minutes even, right? You would have a very good model on average, even faster, but 7 minutes easily. And if they came to your site multiple times or to your social media platform multiple times, right, the more they engage, the more brainwidth they give, essentially, right, to your market or to your business, the higher the conversion rate is, right? So if somebody visits your site 5, 6 times or more, they're even 7 or 8, they're extremely likely to make a purchase from you, and more than one. If they only come to your site once, they're not likely to make a purchase yet, unless you have predictive models in place and can do rapid fire conversion, which can work in certain models, but not so much in others, where they have a lot of things to consider and a lot of competitors to look at. So the trick is to get people to hook in and to get them on your mailing list, to get them signed up to getting repeat messaging, so that there's not going to be any shortcoming of communication with them. But if you can get people to come back to your site time and again, with each successive visit, they are increasingly likely exponentially to make a purchase. So after 7 visits, you should have a conversion. Guys, I have to get going, so I will talk with you later. Good talking to you. See you later. Happy marketing. Cheers.